I want to introduce you to a very interesting person. Over a year ago, WND.com did a story about Barack Obama's Social Security number. And the source of that story is a private investigator from Ohio. Her name is Susan Daniels. And she says she can prove beyond the shadow of a doubt that Obama has been using a phony Connecticut Social Security number for the past 25 years. Welcome to the show, Susan.
Oh, thank you, Joe. So I appreciate you having me on.
Well, tell us how you got into this as a, licensed private investigator from Ohio. What made you curious about Barack Obama's Social Security number?
Well, the thing that got me thinking was the emergencies about the TARP money, the stimulus money, and where I saw it was going. And one of my clients said to me, I'm not happy about the situation. Why don't you see if you can find anything on him? Never dreaming that I would be able to, since he was already president, I accessed some of the databases that I can go to because I'm licensed. And here up pops a Connecticut Social Security number for him. Well, I've been licensed for over 16 years and looked at thousands of Social Security numbers and know that they are issued where you live when you apply for them. And it said the number had been issued between 77 and 79. And I knew that he was in high school in Hawaii at the time, and that there was no way that he could have gone to Connecticut and applied for a Social Security number.
And, this question has been posed by our own White House press correspondent in press briefings, and I got to tell you, the reaction to the questions is from the administration has just changed the subject.
Oh, absolutely, because they can't explain it away. They have made pitiful attempts, but they cannot explain it away. There would have to be a card that he filled out with the Social Security Administration for him to have that number.
Or one of his parents?
Or it could have been one of his parents, but his mother was in Indonesia at that time, and his father was in Africa.
And there are no records of him ever having lived or worked in Connecticut.
Well, we have, with the help of some other people, we have nailed down the exact time frame when he would have had to have gotten it. And it will be the last 2 weeks of March in 1977. The reason I know that and can prove it is because the person with the number directly in front of his, and his number ends in 25. Obama's does. I have the records for 24 and 29. I was able to get these because these people are both dead, and once you die, there is no expectation of privacy. So these documents came directly from the Social Security Administration, and their numbers were issued in the end of March in 77.
So he would have been 15 years old at that time. In
the 10th grade, yep.
If indeed he was born in 1961,
right,
as he claims. So what is your theory about all this, Susan?
Well, he's using a phony Social Security number to hide something from his past, which was probably tied to the original Social Security number he had.
What are the consequences of using
it's a felony?
And how would felony charges be brought against the occupant of the White House? Congress
is in a position to start asking these questions. I have contacted Isa, Boehner, Cantor, Alan West, my own Congressman Steve LaTourette, telling them and sending them copies of documents I have, and have been ignored by every one of them.
You haven't gotten any response?
Not a response. I sent the same material 4 times to Donald Trump, who I think is a ringer for the Democrats, by the way.
Yes, and I'm going to get into that in my own commentary at some point in this show. But so is there anything that, listeners to this program can do to move the ball, so to speak?
Well, yeah. He is using a fraudulent number, which is illegal. The number had been assigned previously to someone else. I spoke in front of a local Tea Party the other night, and I said, this is what you need to do. I said, don't bother emailing or faxing anything to your congressman because they don't read or get any of that information. Their staff sorts it out for them. Call and leave a message and insist that the congressman ask that an investigation be started, and if he is reluctant to do so, that you will never vote for them again. Mm-hmm. Because that's the biggest fear they have of losing that cushy job.
Susan, have there been any consequences for you in raising the visibility of this story? Have you any bad results? Have you heard from anybody in the administration or anybody keeping tabs on you?
Well, the only interesting thing is at the end of March, I sent letters to both Holder at the Department of Justice and Astro at the Social Security Administration, telling them they had a responsibility to the people in this country to look into why he's got this Connecticut Social Security number, because they're issued by the address you live at when you apply for them. And I got a letter back about 6 weeks later from one of Astro's minions saying, we disagree with your conclusions.
Now, how can we be absolutely certain that Barack Obama is using the Social Security number that you have checked out?
Because I can give you addresses for 25 years at various law firms, at his home, when he was in Massachusetts going to Harvard, and as a senator in Washington, D.C., showing that Social Security number at that address.
You know what's kind of interesting about this and kind of plunges it right back into the news again is this week, Barack Obama threatened to withhold Social Security checks from senior citizens if he doesn't get a deal on the debt limit that he likes.
Have you ever seen a bigger bully than him? Ever? He thought, I'm pretty sure that whoever is his handlers never told him to say anything like that, because that is beyond stupid. Social Security funds are totally separate from the government money. He can't do anything about that, but he's trying to scare the old people into pressuring their congressman, and he should be ashamed.
Well, Susan, then, I can tell you, I personally appreciate you stepping forward on this, because I know that you certainly don't have anything to gain as a private investigator in Ohio, blowing the whistle on the guy. I can't call him the president, but I call him the occupant of the White House. And please keep us posted on any developments that occur here. If you hear back from any of these investigators, any members of Congress and so forth, and I can tell you that we will continue, as I'm sure you know, to push the envelope on this story, just as we did with the birth certificate for almost 3 years.
Yeah, well, I really appreciate the fact that WorldNet Daily wrote about this, because Jerry Corsi was the first person that listened to me.
Let me ask you this. Any other media come to you and express interest in following up on what you discovered?
Other than bloggers, no.
Isn't that incredible?
No, it's not incredible, because they're all hiding what they know to be the truth, and that he is not eligible to be the president. And to tell you the truth, I can't wait to see Nancy Pelosi in an orange jumpsuit.
Well, thank you, Susan Daniels. We appreciate you, and keep us posted. You know how to get in touch with me if you need me.
Yes, I do, and thank you, Joseph, for having me on.